Hey everyone, my name is Rachel, and you might have noticed it is nighttime outside. I normally film my videos during the day, but today when I'm going to be uploading this, or tomorrow as it is now, I'm going to be busy tomorrow is basically what I'm saying. So I'm filming this the night before. It's currently about 11:30, it's about 11:30 at night. It's later than I expected, which is why it is slightly more acceptable for me to be drinking wine. This is my second glass, but let's not talk about that. I'm not just like some alcoholic day drinker. I'm an adult who drinks responsibly and usually with meals. This is just a continuation of my meal wine. Today I'm going to be making a video similar to what I've seen a few other atheists doing, which is responding to the kind of blog post which is like a 10 questions atheists should answer. So I found this one particular blog post where the list of questions is called the Atheist Challenge, and I thought this was actually really cool because the site that I got this from had both an atheist challenge and a Christian challenge. So there were 10 questions for atheists, but also 10 questions for Christians. I'll leave the links to both of them in the description of this video because they're actually really interesting. But I am just going to be talking about the atheist ones today. So let's get into it. So the first question is, if there's no God, then there is no measurement or standard for morality. Then what will define morality? This is one that actually comes up quite a lot in my comments section. I really dislike this argument that we can only get morality from religion or a god or some kind of holy book or something like that. Like we have to be told what's right and wrong. I don't think that's true. As people, I've spoken about this before, but as humans, as people, we have the ability to feel empathy for other people and understand other people's emotions. It is literally a consequence of evolution that we want to help each other out. We see people in the same groups as us and we want to help them. We don't want to see them get hurt or injured or things like that. It is literally an evolutionary trait of people. And for the majority of people, our brains are skilled at reading other people's emotions and we can respond accordingly. I mean, the exceptions are certain like kinds of autistic people or psychopaths, sociopaths, things like that. People who do have like brain disorders, but we're not talking about those. The majority of people can understand other people's emotions, respond to them, and they want to help people out. And it's not just that. We learn about morality, we learn about what's right and wrong through socialization. We learn from our family, our friends, just generally the people around us, our teachers, people we see in the street, policemen, other people like that, people in positions of power. We learn from the law, we learn from books, we learn from TV, we learn from just watching and observing people. We don't necessarily need a definitive text to say this is right, this is wrong. And also I don't believe morality is just black and white where you can say every action like this is wrong and every action like this is right. I think it's important that we learn to make our judgments based on specific circumstances and the context and things like that, and that's only something you can kind of learn by doing and experiencing. Next up is the question, if there's no God, then there's no meaning or purpose to life. So without a God, does life have a purpose or meaning? Without God, does the atheist have a purpose? Now, I don't see why we need some overall kind of huge meaning to life. I don't see why our meaning of life needs to be to serve God or to get to heaven or whatever. Why can't we just kind of create our own purpose and meaning within us? Why can't our purpose just be to be happy or to make other people happy or to do good in the world or to continue the human race, something like that? Why can't our purpose just be that simple? Why do we have to have some huge special meaning? It just seems silly to me. Question 3 is, are you an advocate of new atheism and Darwinism? If so, the most extreme and logical form of Darwinism is eugenics. Would you support this? Why or why not? Okay, so new atheism is a pretty new concept to me, but apparently it's also known as militant atheism or fundamental atheism, and it's often concerned with the idea that superstitious, religious and irrationalism should not simply be tolerated but should be countered, criticised and exposed by rational argument wherever their influence arises in government, education and politics. And yes, I did just read that from Wikipedia. So a bit of a difficult one here, because I don't think I'd group myself in with like new atheists. But just the fact that I'm here talking about atheism, making videos about atheism, means that some people would probably put me in that group. There are aspects that I do believe in. For example, I don't believe religion should be a central part of politics or education or things like that. but I'm also not the kind of person who goes around saying religion should not be tolerated. Like, that's not me. I also feel that, like, critical discussion of ideas relating to religion and science and rationality and logic and all these things, I feel like critical discussion is important on both sides. So would I call myself a new atheist? Probably not. Would other people? Maybe, I don't know. Darwinism basically is just, do I agree with Darwin's theory of evolution? At least I think that's what it's asking, in which case, yes. I've studied enough biology to say that I think there's sufficient evidence that that theory is probably correct and I agree with it. So yeah, in regards to eugenics, I don't really have much of an opinion on it. I can see why in some cases it would be good. I can see, on the other hand, why some people would agree with it, but I don't really know enough about it to form a full informed opinion, so I don't really want to comment on that at the moment. Question 4 is, if we are ancestors or descendants of apes, then why are there no transitional fossils or species to support this theory? Well, the idea is that we share common ancestors with certain apes. There are some transitional fossils. Go to a natural history museum, learn about it, read about it. It's pretty easy to understand, and I'm pretty sure the evidence is there to suggest that it's true. We might be missing 1 or 2 bits here and there, but overall, I think it's really difficult to argue with, to be honest. But question 5, do you believe in human nature? Is it human nature to believe in God? If so, why do you go against human nature and not believe in God? Okay, so I was a little bit confused by this question, and I did, like, Google the definition of human nature. Apparently it just means the general physiological characteristics, feelings, and behavioural traits of humankind, regarded as shared by all humans. So how can you kind of not believe in that? To me, it doesn't really seem like something you either believe in or not. So strange kind of question, but yeah, humans as a species do share certain characteristics, especially physiological ones, especially behavioural ones. Like, I don't know, it seems like a silly question to me, that first bit. Now, is it human nature to believe in God, or a god, or just religion in general? This is where it gets a little bit trickier, but I think on the whole, I think it is a pretty human thing to want to look for explanations to things that we don't fully understand yet. I think that at a certain point in time, people use God and religion as an explanation for things that they didn't understand because they didn't have any better explanation, and they didn't have the methods to be able to fully explore it and figure things out. But today we do. Today we have science, today we have amazing technology, today we have amazing methods for figuring things out, and we're learning more all the time, and even the things that we don't know yet, we can theorize on, or we have an idea how we're going to figure it out in the future, or something like that. So I feel like we don't really need to believe in a god anymore. I feel like science can provide the answers. If not right now, then in the future it'll be able to provide the answers that we don't currently have. I think it's human nature to want explanations for things, but I don't think it's human nature necessarily to believe in a god. Okay, question 6. Can something come from nothing? Doesn't that violate the first law of thermodynamics? Okay, I've said it before in my previous videos, but I am not a physicist, and I don't fully want to comment on things like this because I'm not educated enough. I'm not qualified enough. From what I do understand, the idea of, like, the laws of thermodynamics, I think they only apply within a closed system. So in terms of applying them to before the beginning of the universe, we can't really do that. But like I say, I'm not really qualified to talk about this. I don't want to pretend I know how the universe was created. I don't want to pretend I'm educated in this field. I'm not at all. So I don't want to comment too much. That's kind of all I'm going to say on this. I'm more than willing to step back and say I don't know enough about this subject to talk about it or form full opinions. Question 7. It seems that a society of atheists are immoral and self-destructing. Why would anyone want a godless society? Just look at our examples. North Korea, I don't know how to say this, Maoist China, Stalin and Pol Pot. Or Pot Pol, as the question says. Okay, so I think it's very easy to cherry pick good or bad examples for both religious and secularist societies. there are good and bad things in both. There are good and bad people in all societies. That's something we can't avoid. Just believing a God exists doesn't automatically make you a good person, just like being an atheist doesn't automatically make you a bad person. It's far more complicated than that. Yes, those are some examples, but there's also examples of secular societies, or atheist societies if you want to call them, that are pretty amazing, to be honest. The UK is pretty secular, to be honest, and I think we're doing a pretty good job at things. Obviously there's some room for improvement, no society is perfect, but I think compared to a society run by Stalin, we're doing a pretty good job. I actually found a really cool link, which I'll pop in the bio, that talks about kind of 8 countries where atheism is celebrated, as they say. And a couple of quotes from that where they say there's a strong correlation between the happiest countries in the world and the least religious countries in the world, along with Sweden and Denmark. Norway rates at the top of both lists. And it goes on to say, when non-belief or even outright atheism is widespread, atheists can go about their lives free from fear that the lack of belief will cause people to mistrust, hate, or even discriminate against them. So I think basically the idea that it's getting at here is saying that atheist societies as a whole tend to be pretty happy and it's pretty awesome. And there's a lot of good things in lots of different atheist societies. I don't think you can necessarily say that all atheist societies are immoral. That's just silly. Yes, there are some examples of immoral atheist societies, but there's also examples of immoral religious societies. Look at some of the countries at the minute where it is against the law to be gay, or women are treated poorly, or just any number of things. It is a real issue. And you can't just say if you're religious, you're moral, if you're atheist, you're immoral. That's really oversimplifying things. That's completely untrue. Question 8 is, if you were to die and you were before God and he was getting ready to pass judgment on you, what would your reaction or thoughts be? What plea would you give him so he does not judge you harshly? Well, if I was presented with a God in front of me, I would be the first person to admit that I was wrong in not believing in a God, because, you know, there's the solid proof, right? But as to what my plea would be so he doesn't judge me harshly, well, I don't think I deserve a harsh punishment. I've not done anything really wrong with my life. I'm not a bad person, I don't think. I try and do good. I've never killed anyone, I've never, stolen anything. So, in those cases, I don't think I deserve any kind of harsh punishment, and I don't think I should have to make a plea about anything like that. But if he is going to punish me for things like living with my boyfriend before we're married, then screw that God. He's obviously got his priorities in a bit of a twist, and I would turn around and say to him, what the hell, mate? Come on. Question 9, what would convince you atheism is wrong and that Christianity is right? Well, they're 2 different questions for a start. For me to stop being an atheist, I'd need solid proof that a God existed, or that any kind of religion was right in some way. I'd want some kind of proof which couldn't have been faked, something which, proves beyond a doubt that it is right. And if I want to believe in Christianity, then I obviously need solid proof that a Christian God exists, that Jesus performed the miracles he did, and that everything in the Bible is fact, which I think would be very, very difficult to prove because of all the crazy inconsistencies in there. Right now, I can't see anything changing my mind, but like I say, just because I think getting the proof that I need is very unlikely. But if I was presented with that proof, then yeah, of course I'd believe. Why wouldn't I? Final question is, why are you an atheist? Why do you not believe in God? Why do you reject God? Okay, so I spoke about this in my video for Godless Cranium. I will link that below, and probably somewhere on the end screen of this video if I can. Basically, I just talk about how I figured out I was an atheist, things like that. Basically, I just don't see any proof for God. I don't feel a need to have religion in my life. That's all there is to it. It's not like there was some big trauma that pushed me away from religion of any kind. No, I just don't feel I need it. It's as simple as that. I don't see any proof of it, so why would I waste my time on it, to be honest? Yeah, no, I think it's a big misconception that if you're not religious, then something terrible must have happened to you. That's a silly misconception. That's not how it was at all. But I would definitely recommend going over there, watching that video of mine, and check out the rest of Godless Cranium's channel as well, because it's pretty awesome. But yeah, they are just my answers to the 10 questions for atheists. Feel free to answer them down in the comments below. If you're a Christian, check out the 10 questions for Christians on the same website. If you're another religion, I don't know if there's a 10 questions for you, but feel free to answer some anyway. I don't know. I've had quite a bit of wine at this point. Okay, I've had a glass and a half of wine, which is a lot for someone as small as me. I'm like 5'6", that's a little bit tiny. But yeah, I'm gonna end this here for now. Thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.